start again. Okay. So, if we're old enough to choose to have consensual sex, then we're old enough to buy contraceptives. Unplanned teenage pregnancy has always been a big issue in America, and mandatory parental notification for adolescents obtaining prescribed contraceptives is a controversial issue. Minors should be able to make the decision of buying birth control without their parents' consent. This provides convenience and privacy. It helps reduce unintended pregnancy and help destigmatize birth control. While researching this topic, I've come to realize how important it is to consider a minor's decision on choosing and taking contraceptives. All of us in this room are at least 18 years old or older and were minors not too long ago. And sexually active or not, our decision-making matters. Personally, I've never experienced a situation where birth control or an emergency contraceptive was necessary, but I've had friends who have, where they have to beg someone of age to buy them Plan B. I believe they should be able to act upon this themselves without the help of a parent. If you know what Plan B is, then you should be able to buy it without parental restriction. So today I invite you to listen with an open mind as I discuss the benefits and perspectives of obtaining over-the-counter contraceptives without parental consent. So first, I'll be establishing the problem. So the biggest issue with buying over-the-counter contraceptives is the hassle for minors because they need their parents' consent for a prescription. According to an academic article relating to the use of sexual services, it states mandated parental notification laws would likely increase risky or unsafe sexual behavior and, in turn, the incidence of adolescent pregnancy and sexually transmitted diseases. This negatively affects teenagers' willingness to use sexual health services and effective contraceptives. This issue commonly results in an abundant amount of unplanned pregnancy in adolescents, which frequently results in unnecessary abortions or lack of parental care for the child, which, one, abortions are not a type of birth control, and two, referring to the Journal of Family Practice, Rosenfeld and Erin explain how unplanned pregnancies can even be viewed as a health risk that can lead to long-term behavioral and psychological consequences. They say women or adolescents with unplanned pregnancies are more likely to smoke and use alcohol during pregnancy. Behaviors like that can increase low birth weight of an infant. Rosenfeld and Everett also provide evidence that children of these unplanned pregnancies are also at higher risk for poor school performance, abuse, and neglect. If so, these are just more reasons to give teenagers the right to use contraceptives with their own free will, so we can reduce these risks. Now that I've established the reason why minors should be able to buy them, contraceptives, without parental consent, it's now time to describe the solution. In a study about the use of sexual health services, it expresses how many teenagers avoid seeking medical services for contraception if they were required to involve parents. Therefore, over the last 30 years, many states have passed laws giving minors the right to consent to a range of sexual health services. In an article relating to the effect of mandatory parental notification on adolescent girls' use of birth control, 86% of girls statewide claim that they'd be willing to use state sexual health services if they were confidential, meaning that their parents wouldn't have to know about it and they'd feel more comfortable with buying them. Then 47% reported that they'd stop using or change their use of Planned Parenthood services if their parents were informed that they were seeking birth control pills or devices. Now that I briefly discussed the solution, it's time to examine the benefits. As I mentioned before, minors can greatly benefit from buying over-the-counter contraceptives. In a survey conducting teenagers' attitudes towards over-the-counter birth control, it states 73% of participants supported over-the-counter access and 61% reported that they would likely use oral contraceptives available through this approach, which like they can just go in the drugstore, get an over-the-counter contraceptive, easy as that. They don't have to have a prescription, go to the doctor, have their parents sign off something. A lot easier process. So this allows the minor to privately get their birth control without parental notification. I have a story. So 2 years ago when I was 16, my friend had sexual intercourse with her boyfriend, and she was freaking out because she really needed Plan B, and she couldn't talk to her own parents about it because God only knows what they would do if they found out. So she ended up going to her boyfriend's mom, and she bought her the Plan B, which was like a huge, really just stressful process that she had to go through, and I just feel bad for her. But like, why is it that anyone can buy condoms but we can't buy like birth control? It is an easy process to buy condoms, and there's no age restriction or parental notification when a minor has to buy them. But when it's the other way around, teenage girls go through the hardest steps to receive any type of birth control. This leads to the next benefit, which is convenience and privacy. Conveniency and privacy. The biggest problem with minors looking for the right birth control is that their parents must be notified of everything and give consent. This takes away the teenager's freedom of choice and privacy. In fact, most minors act on sexual activity without telling their parents in the first place, which is also something that should stay private. If you're old enough to choose to have sex, then I believe you're old enough to choose the pill. If you're old enough to even know what Plan B is, then you're old enough to buy it. Another benefit I already brought up is the reduction of unplanned pregnancies. Just if more teenagers were willing to go into the store and just buy over-the-counter contraceptives, we could greatly reduce like unneeded abortions and health factors that could come along with those premature children. Lastly, the final benefit of providing over-the-counter contraceptives would be that it would destigmatize birth control. And this means it would like normalize it, like normalizing condoms and such. So now that you have visualized the benefits of over-the-counter contraceptives and buying birth control without parental restriction, how do we act upon it? Well, like most things in this world, if you want something done, you have to do it yourself. So us as, minors and the young people, we have to make petitions and get our voice out there. Findings of statewide studies show that 59% of sexually active girls surveyed, they would stop, delay, or discontinue using healthcare services if parental notification was legislated. So to change this, we must petition, make it not legislated, make it not a law. In closing, it's easy to see how beneficial it would be giving minors the option to buy birth control. There is a clear need for over-the-counter contraceptives, and as Margaret Sanger once said, no woman can call herself free who does not control her own body. If a teenage girl cannot control what she puts in her own body, what makes it right for her parents to make the decision for her? I said it once and I will say it again. If you're old enough to choose to have consensual sex, then you're old enough to choose birth control.
Time.
9 minutes.
Ooh, solid.
I don't know how to do that.
Okay, whoever's next needs to go up so they can, Evan, go ahead and make your way up there so you can.